trust you.
Did you think you could just get away with it?
What were you doing at my house?
You really thought this would just slide by unnoticed? That's the first line that hit me when I watched the trailer, and from that second on, Wardriver makes one thing very clear: this story isn't about technology. It's about consequences. And those consequences don't wait politely in the background. They show up fast, loud, and violent. Before we begin, would you please support me? Subscribing is free and very important to me. Please subscribe for better analysis and more videos. At first glance, Wardriver looks like another slick hacker thriller trying to ride the wave of modern tech paranoia. But once you sit with it for a moment, you realize the movie is aiming for something more personal. This isn't a story about breaking systems. It's about what happens when someone convinces themselves that no one is getting hurt, right up until everyone is. I'm watching this trailer thinking I know exactly who Cole is. He's the kind of character we've seen before. Smart, quiet, always moving. He lives in his car, drives through the city, connects to networks on the fly, and steals from institutions instead of individuals. Banks, corporations, faceless systems. In his mind, it's clean work, victimless, almost ethical, and that's the lie Wardriver wants you to believe for about 5 minutes. Cole, played by Dane DeHaan, calls himself a Wardriver. He hacks while driving, staying mobile, invisible, untouchable. The city becomes his playground. Code replaces weapons. Distance replaces danger. But the second someone notices him, that illusion shatters completely. This is where Oscar enters the picture. Oscar isn't law enforcement. He isn't some heroic cybercrime specialist. He's a black market tech hunter, and Mamadou Athey brings a cold precision to the role that immediately shifts the tone of the film. Oscar doesn't chase Cole to stop him. He corners him to use him. And that's when the stakes explode. Suddenly, Cole isn't stealing quietly from the background anymore. He's being forced into $1 million cyber heist where every line of code could be the last mistake he ever makes. And once real money enters the equation, real violence isn't far behind. This is the moment where Wardriver stops pretending to be just a hacker movie. Because the job exposes something far bigger than a digital crime. It pulls back the curtain on a mob-connected lawyer laundering money through Sarah, a woman who becomes the emotional center of this entire story. Sasha Cole plays Sarah, and based on what we see here, she's not just another character caught in the crossfire. She's the moral pressure point. Cole now has choices to make, and none of them are clean. Does he take the money and run, proving he was never as principled as he claimed? Does he walk away and leave Sarah trapped inside a criminal system she never controlled? Or does he try to fix everything, knowing full well that fixing it could get both of them killed? That tension is where Wardriver lives. As bullets start flying and betrayals stack up, the film leans into a cat-and-mouse structure that feels less like a traditional cyber thriller and more like a modern noir. The city feels hostile. Movement feels dangerous. Even technology, the thing Cole once trusted more than people, becomes unreliable. There's an interesting irony here that I can't ignore. For a movie built around hacking, Wardriver seems far more interested in faces than screens. The cast is striking, almost intentionally so, and the camera knows it. This isn't about flashy interfaces or exaggerated cyber visuals. It's about how attractive danger can look when you think you're smarter than everyone else. And honestly, that makes it more unsettling. Rebecca Thomas directs the film, and if you're familiar with her previous work, you can feel her influence here. She has a way of grounding strange or heightened concepts in very human behavior. Wardriver doesn't try to convince you that hacking the world is realistic. Instead, it asks a simpler question: what happens when someone believes they can outthink consequences? Daniel Casey's script keeps the pressure tight. There's no sense that this is spiraling into something heroic. Every solution feels temporary. Every escape feels earned but fragile. Cole isn't becoming a savior. He's trying to survive long enough to do one right thing after doing so many wrong ones. And that's what makes this story compelling. Because at some point, while watching the trailer, you stop thinking about the tech entirely. You start watching expressions. You start noticing hesitation. You start wondering who's going to betray who first. If you catch yourself leaning closer to the screen during moments like that, you're already inside the movie's grip. Wardriver isn't aiming for a long theatrical run either. It's set to hit select theaters in the US on March 20th, 2026, with a rapid move to VOD platforms just a week later on March 27th. And honestly, that tracks. This feels like a film designed to find its audience fast, spark conversation, and live in that digital-first space where thrillers like this tend to thrive. The big question is whether it can stand out. From what the trailer shows, Wardriver might not redefine the genre, but it understands something crucial. In a world obsessed with systems, data, and speed, the most dangerous thing is still human decision-making. One bad choice, one moment of arrogance, one assumption that you won't get caught. And when the movie ends, I have a feeling that's the thought it wants to leave you with. Because if you've ever told yourself that something doesn't really hurt anyone, this story might hit closer than you expect. And if you want to know whether Cole makes it out alive, whether Sarah escapes the trap she's in, or whether Oscar gets exactly what he deserves, then this is one thriller worth keeping on your radar. I'll be watching closely, and if you made it this far, you already know why. Stay sharp, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.